Welcome back everyone, my name is Nightmare. This video is going to be updating my Nocturnal Stamina Nightblade PvP build for update 2.5 and onward. This build is an all-around PvP powerhouse for 1vxing, dueling, as well as sewers and Imperial City. This is my strongest PvP build I have ever made, and I hope you all enjoy it. Let's jump into it. Let's start off with the abilities I use. I use a 2H and bow setup. So on my bow bar, my first ability I use is Poison Injection. I use this to start off my fight once I pick out my target. It's a nice dot, puts pressure on my enemy, and once I get him below 50%, it's a really nice execute to help me get down my targets even faster. Next is my flex spot. So as of right now I'm using siphoning attacks to help me sustain more in a fight. With this I have no issues with magic or stamina. Something else you could put in is lethal arrow. However, I've moved away from using it because this build doesn't really need it anymore. Or you can also use shuffle for the 20% dodge chance, which is really nice, and it also removes snares and immobilizations. Moving on, I'm using relentless focus. This is going to increase all damage done by 8% and give me 10% stam recovery. This is not a major or a minor buff, so it can stack with both of those. Also, after light attack or heavy attacking 4 times, I get to activate my Assassin's Scourge, which shoots a spectral bow, and it deals on the tooltip 15,000 disease damage unbuffed. Next, we have Resolving Vigor for my heal. This is a nice hot, and it can keep me alive in 1vx and 1v1s. After that, I have Shadowy Disguise. This is your signature move as a Nightblade, and it grants you invisibility for almost 3 seconds, and your next attack within 3 seconds allows you to critically strike. On my ultimate on this bar, I'm currently using Flawless Dawnbreaker. The only reason why I use this is for the extra 5% weapon damage. If you have Mage's Skill 10, you could put Shooting Star or Ice Comet on this bar. Moving on, I use a 2H sword. My first ability I use is Ambush. This is your gap closer, and it can also empower your next attack. So after ambushing, you're going to use your surprise attack. This also stuns, so if they're holding block, you'll still be able to use mass hysteria, etc. If not, they will you will grant them CC immunity. Next up, our main spammable attack is surprise attack. Tooltip says almost 9,000 physical damage unbuffed, and it also applies major fracture, reducing their armor, which will increase all your physical damage done on your attacks after this. Major physical resistance by 5,280, and that lasts for 17.3 seconds. Next is our main CC. This is good against tanks or anybody else who is holding block. Your fear will go through their block. This also reduces their movement speed by 53% for 4 seconds and afflicts them with minor maim, reducing their damage done by 15%. So most people who I've talked to and helped them with their builds, they don't really like to use Mass Hysteria because they always say they break their CC. And that's kind of the point of this ability. Once they break CC, they are draining their stamina, and once they go back to attack you, they'll have their damage reduced by 15%. And this is also used for block casters, or block spammers. So you can drop their block and get some attacks in. Next is my execute. I'm using Reverse Slice instead of Executioner just for the extra splash damage, which the splash damage hits really hard. Once you get them down to about 25%, tooltip says 50%, I like 25%, it'll do more damage. it can do up to 300 more damage, and then that splashes to other enemies. This is really helpful in the sewers or Imperial City. Next we have Rally. This is your go-to ability for any stamina builds. Very important for PvP. Grants you major brutality, increasing your weapon damage by 20% for 33 seconds. So you cannot stack that with other sources of major brutality. And it also heals you for 1,108 health over 2 seconds, every 2 seconds. And the longer this is on, the second time you activate it, it can grant you a burst heal, which is very important. For our ultimate, we use Incapacitating Strike, dealing 14,000 disease damage and stunning them for 4.5 seconds. It also increases your damage done to them by 20% for 6 seconds, and it reduces their healing done by 30%. So in a 1vx or in small group play, try to single out the enemy's healers, Templars, anybody waving their hand in the air. Single them out, fear them with mass hysteria, and hit them with Incapacitating Strike. It'll reduce their healing done even if you cannot kill them, which you usually will be able to. So with this setup, I don't use Snipe anymore because I have enough damage from stealth to do a fully charged heavy attack right into a poison injection, and I'm usually able to one-shot people with just that. This build is doing a lot more damage than my last Nocturnal builds, and this build has more utility, more versatility with melee, doing a lot more damage up close, and it has a lot higher sustain. So let's get into the armor sets. For my armor sets, I'm using 2 5-piece sets and 1 monster piece. So my first 5-piece set, I'm using Marksman. Marksman is great on this build since I am using a bow, but it also reduces the cost of all my abilities by 5%, which is huge. It really allows me to sustain very well. This also gives me 2 and 3-piece stam recovery, 4-piece weapon damage, adding to the sustain on this build. So my 3 jewelry pieces are all Marksman. My 2 rings are weapon damage, and my necklace is a stam recovery. I'd like the extra stam recovery for my builds. Next we have 5 pieces of Hunting's Rage. Hunting's Rage, even though it does give a lot of crit chance, which isn't exactly the strongest in PvP, I'm able to make the best of it. It gives 2 and 4-piece crit chance, 3-piece max stam, 5-piece is weapon damage, and that's a lot of weapon damage too for this build. Moving on, I have my other shoulder is Marksman, and my head is a Molokina. So Molokina is giving me that extra weapon damage for the 1 piece. All of these are divines, and my head is infused. However, I would recommend having at least 5 pieces of your armor to be in pin. That will help a lot for crit resistance, which the hard cap for that is 3,200. For our off bar, we're using the Marksman bow. This is precise. The reason I go precise over sharpened is because I already have quite a bit of crit chance from Hunting's Rage, so I'm gonna buff that up with my champion points a little bit more. Also, this is giving me my 5th piece of Marksman. And I'm also using a Crusher enchant to start off the fight. I'm reducing their armor a little bit more. Precise is also good because this is where our vigor is going to be, so we can get more crit heals with vigor. For our 2H, we're using the other 5th piece of Marksman. This is a sharpened, since this is our main bar. Again, we're getting the reduced cost of abilities by 5% on our greatsword, so we do want the Marksman Greatsword. I'm also using a weapon damage enchant to proc that with light attacks or heavy attacks to get almost 350 more weapon damage. For my consumables, I'm using max health and max stam food. I am also using Essence of Speed potions to get around a little bit faster. Major Expedition for 47.6 seconds. This can be very nice to move around in a fight. But most of the time, I'm just using Essence of Weapon Power to get my Major Brutality, my Major Savagery for the extra crit chance, and restore stamina and get stam recovery back. I'm usually keeping Rally up at all times, so the Major Brutality isn't really important, but the Major Savagery can help with crit chance, and restoring stamina and Major Endurance helps a lot. Next, let's go over the champion points. So, with the armor set I'm running with right now, I have quite a bit of crit chance. So, I'm pumping 89 into Mighty for the 20% extra physical, poison, and disease damage. All the damage we're doing is either physical or disease, so this pumps up my burst a lot. 27 into Piercing for 1600 more physical penetration. This combos very well with Major Fracture from Surprise Attack and the Crusher enchant on my bow. Next, we're putting 27 into Precise Strikes for 10% extra crit damage. This is important since we do have such high crit chance on this build. I have 1 into Melee Weapon Expert since I am heavy attacking a little bit to get stam back, and I'm light attack weaving in between all my attacks. 5 points into Shattering Blows to increase my damage done to targets with a damage shield by 3.1%. This helps against Magic Sorks or anybody else stacking shields. 27 into Blessed, 10% extra healing done. This is healing done on yourself, and if you're in a small group, your Vigor can also heal a little bit more. I tried playing without any points into Blessed, but I started bumping this up more to get more healing, and it helped a lot. Moving on, I have 39 into Tumbling. Again, I didn't have a lot of points into this at first, but after testing, in 1vx, I tend to dodge roll quite a bit, so this is nice for 10% reduced cost. 4 points into Shade, reduced stamina cost of moving while in stealth by 2.3%. I do this a lot when I'm playing solo, or playing with my small group, or in a duo. This helps me get around with not having to start off my fight without any stamina. I'm able to scout out my enemies and keep up with Magic and Nightblades. When they jump in, I'm able to still have my stamina up pretty high. Next, I have 78 bumps up into Mooncraft, so I have 20% extra stam recovery. I have 46 into Warlord. The reason why I don't have more into Warlord and I have more into Mooncalf is because I already have a lot of stam recovery with this build from my stamina recovery enchant on my jewelry and my 2 buffs from Marksman. So I found stam recovery and champion points to be better than more into Warlord. 10% reduced cost on all abilities. This is also really nice to stack on top of the 5-piece Marksman, reducing cost by 5%. So I get 15% reduced cost on all my abilities. I threw 10 points into Magician to reduce cost of spells, magic spells by 4%. Reason I did this is because even as a stam Nightblade, you still have quite a few magic casting abilities, such as Mass Hysteria costs over 3,000 magic. Siphoning attacks cost 2,500 magic. Even though this helps you sustain, you're gonna lose quite a bit of magic at first. As well as Relentless Focus also costs 2,500 magic. Cloak costs 36,000, so 2 that costs 36,000 and 2 that cost almost 26,000. So the reduced cost on magic abilities helps a lot. Moving on, I have 23 into quick recovery. This is going to help me get to 6.6 healing received. This is also going to help me sustain my health in 1vx or dueling. I have a two-way split with Hardy and Elemental Defender, 15% in each of these. And then I have 58 points into Resistance for 17.1% reduced damage from crits. If I was to change my armor up, not have all divines, and have 5 pieces impen on my armor, I would take less points out of, or put less points into Resistance, and bump these into Hardy and Elemental Defender to get my Unchained passive, which is very nice in 1vx and 1v1. So I am missing out on my Unchained passive, but that can be fixed. That is it for my CP. I'm going to go and touch back up on some of my passives I use. So in Alchemy, I have my medicinal use maxed. This is going to help me get my potion effects stack over top of each other. My racial choice for this build was an Imperial, 12% max health, 10% max stam. Melee attacks restore 7% of my max health. This is nice. This is just what I chose. Redguard would be better for a PvP build. Khajiit or Wood Elf would be very nice for a little bit more stam recovery and extra damage from stealth. Orc can work. You'll have that extra sprint speed and a little bit of extra healing received. And you can work with this build on a Nord or a Dark Elf. It just wouldn't be as strong as an Imperial or a Redguard. Moving up, I have my Assault level 9. You'll want to take all these passives once you get them, if you're playing a lot in Cyrodiil. Continuous attacks increase weapon and spell damage 10%, magic and stam recovery by 20% for 10 minutes after capturing mill, farmer, mine, or keep. Reach helps your bow attacks, and Combat Frenzy generates ultimate. Combos very well with your Incapacitating Strike, which has such a cheap cost. Undaunted, if you can get your Undaunted to level 9, that's going to help just a little bit. We are wearing 7 pieces of medium to help with our crit chance and our stam recovery. So you'll only get 2% more stats from your Undaunted metal. Fighter skills, we're taking all of these passives. Slayer weapon damage by 3% for each fighter skilled ability. Grants 9 extra ultimate when killing undead, Daedra, and werewolves. This helps a lot in Imperial City as well as in the sewers. And Skill Tracker helps you do 20% extra damage with your fighter skilled abilities to undead, Daedra, and werewolves. Helps in PvP against werewolves, and again helps with sewers. When I go through sewers, I usually hit the ads with a Dawnbreaker just to clear them out fast, and I get my ultimate back. Pull the entire room, hit it with a Dawnbreaker, get all your ultimate back for a next fight. Medium armor, take all of these passives. Weapon critical rating goes up for 7 pieces of medium. This is important, that's why I go with 7 medium. Windwalker, stam recovery, 28%, reduced cost of abilities. So that's another reason why I go with 7 medium. And then reduced cost of sneaking, so even better way to go 7 medium. 5 medium pieces gets you the 12% extra weapon damage, and then you also get reduced cost of dodge roll for even more for 7 medium. So 7 medium is very nice for 1vx and 1v1. 7 medium is also the way to go for PvE. For my bow, poison injection. Scatter shot is another flex spot you could use instead of siphoning attacks for a CC. You're going to want to take all of these bow passives. Hasty retreat is really nice to help you move fast. 2H passives, taking all these. Battle rush is going to help you get your stam recovery once you execute a target, helps in 1vx. Siphoning, I'm taking all of these. Catalyst gets you ultimate back faster. Max magic by 8% for a siphoning ability. So I have siphoning attacks on my bow bar, so I have more max magic which means I can cloak more on my bow bar. Healing done by 3% for each siphoning ability slotted. So with my siphoning attacks, I also get 3% more healing done with Resolving Vigor. And whenever I activate my siphoning attacks, I get to generate ultimate. So this is why I've chosen to go with siphoning attacks, so I can get all of these passives and use them effectively. Shadow. You can also use Shadow Image as your flex spot. You're going to want your Refreshing Shadows to get Stam and Magic Recovery by 15%. Whenever you activate a Shadow ability, you get some Resistance, max health for each Shadow ability, and increased duration for Shadow abilities. Assassination, these are all going to be important. If you're playing up top in Cyrodiil, you can take off Reverse Slice, switching out with Killer's Blade to get more healing to yourself. Piercing Mark is the other flex spot for siphoning attacks to keep Nightblades out of stealth. I would flex this in if I'm going up against a Nightblade in a 1v1 or a duel. Master and Assassin increase weapon spell crit or weapon damage while invisible. So attacking from stealth gets you a big damage boost. Executioner, killing an enemy restores magic over 6 seconds with the assassination ability. Pressure points increase crit chance. This is nice for the build since we do kind of have quite a bit of crit chance. And then crit damage, which helps even more for the crit chance of this build. So with my max stats, with just Rally on my 2H bar, without my weapon damage enchant, I'm sitting at over 3,500 weapon damage, 45.7 weapon crit, over 1,600 stam recovery, almost 25,000 health, and over 35,000 max stam. These stats can change for you depending on your race. If you're Khajiit, you would have higher weapon crit, so on and so forth. My crit resistance is sitting at over 1,000. It would be nice to get it over 2,000. You could do that with your 5 pieces of Inpin. I am using the Warrior to help my weapon damage to get up even higher, above 3,000. If you're struggling with stam recovery, go with the Serpent. Max health, max stam food. And I do not have any Cyrodiil buffs right now. So these are my stats. Alright, so I'm going to show you a little bit of an example of some PvP I got into down in the sewers. So right here I'm just going to show off that nice reverse slice splash damage right there. So I'm coming up to the center. I should have gone cloak right here. Was a little late. I only see 2 of them. See that they're kind of low level. I'm not really going to give a crap. They're not going to be able to put up much of a fight against me here. This just shows how strong the build is. That nice burst damage. I'm kind of lagging out a little bit. Kind of ambush fails. So I see the Templar spamming Breath of Life, so I'm just going to jump on him. Hit him with the Mass Hysteria. Get him in that fear. He's out of stam. He's not going to be able to break free of that. I'm going to hit him with the Incapacitating Strike to execute. See this guy going in fear. In stealth, get to hit him with the Mass Hysteria. He's done. Execute. He's holding block. Get in the ground. Alright, so I have another 1vx video. A little bit more heads in this one. Walking through the center of the sewers here, and I see a nice group of blues doing some kind of farm up here. Not really sure what they're doing. I'm just scouting them out. This is what you want to do when you're in a 1vx. You see lots of heads. You're just trying to scout them out as much as you can. Get close to them, see what they're, how many numbers they have, see what you're working with, what kind of healers they have, see if they have any tanks, any Nightblades that are going to be stealth, moving around, stuff like that. You just got to scout them out, check out their levels. So I see a 501 right there, see a 482. Pretty high levels, so I'm not going to just jump in there and just hope for the best. I'm going to scout this out, try to get some picks off with my bow. So as I'm scouting these guys out, you can kind of see what I'm doing. Hitting with the Pierce Mark, trying to let them know that I'm here, see if they can spread out. Get them to split out so I can get some picks off. Yeah, so I'm going to just let this roll on, and I'm going to talk about my channel a little bit. So I have some characters I still need to get some videos out for. I have a Stamina Dragonite, just got some nice armor, a nice DPS setup. I have my Stam Sork that I run Maelstrom with, which is another really nice strong build I want to show you guys. I'm also working on a Magicka Sork, finishing to get her Undaunted leveled up. Hopefully she's going to be pretty strong. Having some issues with it right now with how low her health is, trying to maximize her DPS, and her sustain is really hard with magic. But I'm working on it, trying to make it work. So going back to the video here, just letting these guys know I'm still here. I see a low level right there. I'm going to try to pick him off. But then Nightblade comes out right in front of me, so I'm going to back up a little bit. I don't want these guys to come up on me. I think maybe I lost stealth there for a second, so they're walking over to me or something. So, again, just being patient, no need to jump in. I'm sitting at 3,012 stones. Most people won't want to lose that. So, I know there's a magic Nightblade around, so I'm trying to be cautious, not trying to be pulled out of stealth and get jumps. It's the last thing I want to happen. I'm thinking about changing up an ability. I know I got Piercing Mark for that magic Nightblade, but if that Nightblade stays in stealth, I won't be able to hit it with the mark. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch out for Snipe here. They're not really spreading out like I want them to, so I'm going to have to hit them from a little bit further away. So I'm putting on Lethal Arrow. So going back to the channel, I have a Templar tank I'm working on. It's a really strong build. If you guys haven't checked out my 2-man Imperial City Prison vet, go check that out. It's a lot of fun. Working on another build for her right now, using Bloodspawn Tavas, the usual ultimate generating tank builds for trials and whatnot. I also have a Magic Nightblade Bomb Blade builds, kind of generic. So right there I picked off that kill real nice, so I'm going to get away, reset the fight, make sure they don't see me. Go back in stealth. Now they're spreading out. This is what I wanted to happen. So, for the Magic Nightblade, I know I had 5 pieces of SPC, 5 pieces of Aether, so I wanted to try to turn that into a healer. So once I get the rest of the staff leveled up and everything I need, I'm gonna make a build video on a Magicka Nightblade healer for trials and for dungeons. I've been playing around with it a little bit. Seems like a lot of fun. It's my first healer. Just trying to get used to it. I'm also working on a Argonian Templar healer, which once I get that leveled up, I'll move over the Spell Power Cure and the Aether to that character. That will be my main healer, turn the Nightblade back into a Bomb Blade. Also working on leveling up a Magic Dragonite. Hopefully I can make something unique and fun with that. Something that can sustain long in trials and dungeons, but still put out some nice DPS. So here I see that Magicka Nightblade, just gonna take him out of the picture real quick, get another nice kill off. I think the dots take care of it. Right there. There we go. So that's kill number 2. I know they're resonant, but still kills. They still know I'm here, looking for me. Just gonna sneak around here. Walk right back at them. They'll go around the circle. They don't know where I am now. So, they rezzed him. That's fine. Not really worried about it. Still gonna scout out some more. Again, trying to be patient. No need to jump in. I got my ultimate ready. I got my resources up. I'm feeling a bit more comfortable with these guys now, so planning on how I'm gonna take these out. I don't see any healers. I know I see a Dragonite tank. I'm gonna have to be careful around him. Play cautiously, but it should be fine. So, yeah. When I made this video, when I recorded it, this wasn't fully optimized. I think I was still in like purple armor, and champion points weren't optimized to how it was in the build video, but it's still strong. I'm gonna get in a little bit of a mess here. In the middle of the fight, I'm gonna have some sustaining issues, kind of have to kite as much as I can. But yeah, so I got my Stam DK, my Stam Nightblade, which was this build. I got my Magic Sork. I've got my Stam Sork for Maelstrom. Got my Templar tank, fully leveled. Probably gonna release that build next. It's a lot of fun, really strong. And then I got my Magic DK to level and my Argonian Templar healer to level. And yeah, I'm gonna be making some more videos here soon, hopefully. Been kind of slacking on the videos and the builds, but I need to start pushing them out more. Start sharing my everything I know. So, getting ready to burst in here soon. But I want to start a new series that will, instead of me giving exact builds, I want to teach you guys, the viewers, on how to make your own builds, teach you the basics and more advanced stuff for DPS, tanking, healing, such. So right here I'm going to go ahead and jump in, taking out this 480 CP. Looks like a tank. He's done that nice bow damage. There's my execute. Now I got to deal with this Magic Nightblade. Magic slow, Stam slow. I'm going to back up, get my rally, get my vigor, get healed. Dodge rolling quite a bit here. Kind of an awkward ambush. He low spans me, I ambush, kind of awkward. Getting a gate dropped on me by these ads, a little annoying. Gonna keep resetting, keep pulling off. Run back a little bit. He's gonna Lotus fan me here. That's that heavy attack, poison injection damage you just saw, and then I hit and execute. Ambush onto this guy. Gotta block that meteor. So close to dying here, out of stam, out of everything. Just barely get that vigor off. Keep me alive. So I kind of panic. Gotta reset this. I see a Mephalas. This tank has Mephalas on me, so I gotta break that beam. There, it broke right there. So I'm gonna retreat. Gonna pick off some guys with my bow. I gotta get my stand back up. Gotta get some heavy attacks in. So there we go. There's that nice burst. Thought it was still my bow. Kind of awkward. No problem. Gonna keep resetting it. All out of everything. If I had siphoning attacks here, I'd have no issues. So taking out this guy right now, that Magic DK tank, with just my bow. There's a roll dodge into Mass Hysteria to hit both of them with it. Really nice. There's that Mephalas. I'm gonna kill him through the Mephalas. Screw his Mephalas. He can't heal through that. This guy's a straight PvE'er. Just Steel Tornado spamming. He doesn't know what he's doing. I'm gonna finish him with that dot. Not even worry about it. And that's it. That's the build.